Welcome back, guys. Welcome to another Path to Peace episode. I'm joined by India. Thanks for coming on. Now I've been really interested in doing this with you for some time. I actually don't know how I even came across your account on Instagram, but it was everything I'm kind of about, a lot of mindset, a lot of healing, and a lot of like fitness stuff that like really shows that you're empowering yourself on your journey. But no, thanks for coming on. And
Thanks for having me here. I'm really excited. It's been a little goal of mine for a little while to be on a podcast, so I'm very, very excited. I'm a little bit nervous, but we'll see how we go. And I feel like there needs to be a bit of a disclaimer. I tend to go on a tangent or we'll start with one thing and then it leads into something else, but I promise by the end of it, hopefully it all kind of wrap back in.
Absolutely.
But
it all comes together. Every person I've gone on, you go on different paths and then you get back to the path. So tell us a bit about yourself. Obviously, people who don't know you, who may not know you. Just a bit of a rundown.
So I'm 24. And I guess about 5 years ago, I probably started my own healing journey when the year I left school. So that would have been about 2019. I did go study a Bachelor of Psychological Science as well. So I have a big interest in the mental health space. I obviously want that to tie into my career. And I've used it a lot in my own journey. But I guess kind of what led me into that was, I guess, my own struggles that I had during my childhood. I guess my story, you could say, kind of starts when I was 4. So when I was 4, I was diagnosed with leukemia. So that's a 2-year treatment. So I was in and out of hospital for those 2 years, essentially. Which, look, being so young, I don't have a whole lot of memories for. I think there's a couple of things where a few not so good memories from it. There's also a lot of great memories, and the Sydney Kids Hospital was incredible. So that was an incredible, I guess we had an incredible support, and they make it fun for kids and everything.
Oh, cool.
So that's, amazing. But I guess as a little girl, obviously I lost all my hair. And with that came a whole lot of challenges. I guess my body image issues and all that sort of thing kind of stem from that age as well. Because I have very few photos of me when I was a child, purely because I teared them all up. And having that conversation even with mum, I'm where are my photos from when I had cancer and stuff? And she was oh no, you just teared them all up, you didn't like the way you looked and all that sort of thing. So that that's probably something that I've thought more so about more recently, because there's just been different things in my life where I'm obviously I've struggled with that, and it appears that it tied back to being so young. And at the age of 5 I was well, I don't like the way I look, which is hard, but I guess that's part of my journey. And then so 4 to 6 I was in treatment, and then when I was 6 my parents separated. There was 3 of us, so there's me, my brother and my sister. So then I guess I was essentially raised by a single mum with 3 kids. I haven't had a whole lot of contact with my dad's side. Contact kind of stopped there when I was 13. So again, with that came a lot of challenges in itself. But it's all kind of led me to the person I am today, and what I've gone through and what I've dealt with. That's been challenging, especially living in the local area and whatnot as well. But I think it was definitely at the time, that's what I felt was necessary. And then I guess through my experience, there was another male that had come into my life, and that was there was a lot of DV and stuff involved in that. So that was really challenging, and that was really hard, feeling unsafe in your environment, and scared is very hard, especially as a teenager. So that's definitely something that I've had to work through as well. but yeah, like we've done, I guess, like leaving school, I think it was like 2018 that I was kind of like, I realized that like I was really like unhappy. I guess I just like doubted myself a lot, and like I just questioned, I think I just started to question a lot of things and like what I'd been through, and like I just knew that I didn't want to feel the way that I was feeling anymore. Like I just very like, yeah, I don't know, like I don't really remember, but I just remember thinking when I leave school, I'm going to change my life. Like I don't know, it was like having more time on my hands, like being able to go and do the things that I wanted to do. Yeah. I just like held on to that a lot, I think. Yeah. And I did, like 2019, like I started uni. That was kind of when like I threw myself into like my fitness journey. I had a trip to Africa that I was saving for at the end of the year, which is like something that I'm very, very passionate about. I went over there with an organization. So then I just like started the momentum of like putting the steps in place to getting me to where I wanted to be. And I guess like with social media and stuff, like I had influencers that I was following that like obviously I look up to and that inspired me. And I just like would read a lot of books, started, I guess, obviously I was studying, so I was learning more about psychology in that aspect as well. I'd also seen psychologists like obviously throughout like my childhood and teenage years. Yeah. Like I'd been to Headspace a couple of times. But I think like with my journey, like I always found it more helpful going inwards myself. Like I just never, they say with psychologists, it's so hard to find someone that you click with. And especially like going to Headspace, like, you know, you have someone for a certain amount of time and then someone can change, or like all those sort of things. Like it's incredible that they have those resources. Yeah. But I don't know, I feel like everything that I took away was more from like the inner work that I did rather than like what they were assisting me with. But yeah, I guess that's kind of like a very long introduction.
That's a great way to put it all together.
To me. Yeah. But yeah.
Wow, that's huge. My goodness. I love doing this because I get to peep into someone else's life and like try to understand everything. And not only does it like make me like give myself grace, it makes me give other people grace as well, just like from a judgment perspective. Like someone on the surface is never their true self because or most likely never their true self because you get an unfinished work, and people are just figuring it out. It's their first time here, you know. It's a really tough thing, especially when you're young. And I'm interested, what kind of because of the issues, was there anyone in particular that really made you go, hey, I really want to take life by the reins and like go hard after school? Or was it particularly inward, like it was your own motivation?
I think a lot of it ties back to my mum. Yeah. Because like obviously seeing a single mum raise 3 kids, and she actually had a 4th that came later. And I think just like she quite literally did everything. Like she quite literally like raised us on her own. Yeah. And just having that like determination, I guess. I don't know. And she has a lot to do with like my healing journey and stuff as well, just in regards to like how she made me look at things. Like when we were kids, I think she was doing volunteer work for an orphanage in Thailand. Wow. And like she went over there when we were young kids, and like she implemented the 5 things that we're grateful for around the dinner table every evening, which is something then I still to this day do. Like I'll sit and write 3 things I'm grateful for in my journal, but like she implemented that, and then I just kind of adapted it into my own. Yeah. And like we were never allowed to say the word can't. Like if we ever said like I can't do that, she was like like she would like make us say cancel and be like, like reframe it, like you can do that. Like that's just the beliefs that you're putting on yourself. So mum's always, I guess, like pulled me up on certain things. Like sometimes I'm like, Mum, like, just like let me just like whinge for a moment, please.
Yeah.
But she's always kind of been someone that's like very much tough love, but like in the best possible way, because it's like helped frame me and like my mindset and who I am. And I think I owe a lot of that to her.
Yeah.
And like even now, like if I get down about something, she's like, you know, put your crown back on your head, like you're going to be absolutely fine. Like, so I think she would definitely be huge in that regard. And then, yeah, like I think a lot of people, like just like what I'd followed on Instagram and stuff, like obviously the exposure and like people doing their own things and like people just like showing up authentically like to who they are, I guess like inspired me a lot. And like I bought like one of Georgie Stevenson's course, like she came out with like, it's called like a Rise and Conquer project essentially. Yeah. And that was like a lot of like what I already believed in and whatnot, like kind of written down into like a program. And I think I must have been like 20 or 21 when I purchased that. And like that was huge as well, because like I even started doing that course and then I realized that like, hang on a second, like I actually did go and see a psychologist and like seek further help with that, because I realized that like some of the things that were bringing up that like I hadn't properly dealt with. Which is all just like, it'd be like who's triggered you and whatnot, and like how they've triggered you. And just kind of like circling it all back. Like I think I can like pinpoint moments and stuff now where it's like, okay, like I've been triggered from this point in time, or like it's tied back to this situation. So yeah, I've just kind of like picked at my little pieces along the way, like find what's worked for me and then like intertwined it into my own thing and adapted it in some way. Like I love listening to podcasts, I love this, but like reading books, like self-development books and all that sort of thing. So it's, I guess like in a broad scheme of like anyone and everyone really, it's just taking from people that, I look up to and like put information out there.
It's amazing. I love the gratitude at dinner.
Yeah.
Like practice. That's really, really cool. It seems a silly thing when you start doing it. Yeah. Like when I've introduced it to kids I'm teaching and stuff like that, or clients I have, like it seems a silly thing to do, but you can see the light bulb change in someone's head when they're like, oh, you know, not everything's that bad. Yeah.
And because I've been doing a lot of study on it at the moment as well. Like I've taken a deep dive into gratitude. I've read so many journal articles. I've done so many different things. Yeah. And it's just bringing people back to like the basics. And like, I think for me, what like solidified it was like even going on my own trips overseas and like what I was seeing over there. And like, I remember in like, I think it was 2017, I went and did a volunteer trip to Cambodia. And like we were building a house for a family out of like bamboo. And like, I was playing with the kids in this, like just the street that was so happy with like a skipping rope, or like I have a beautiful memory of like drawing a love heart in the dirt, and then like one of the kids ran over with a leaf from the tree and I said thank you. So then like I had these 10 kids running to the tree to bring me leaves, and like I have a photo of me like sitting in the dirt with like a love heart that was made out of like, the outline was leaves and like the inside was these flowers that they just picked from the tree.
Oh, that's adorable. Let's see.
And then like leaving, when we were going back to the airport, like driving past and like seeing kids just like in a bucket on the side of the road bathing. Like I will never forget the day that like I came home and I like sat at the dinner table, looked at my food and just bawled my eyes out. Like I was just so sad. And like I think I was sad for a very long time after that experience. Like my mum does like has mentioned to me before, like, no, like when you came back, you just kind of like went down a little. I think because I was just, like one of my biggest drives in life is like, I don't understand like why we've been given the life that we've been given when like we're all just human, and there's like people living literally in a shack and like don't even have food or access to clean water. And like it's something I think about all the time because my brain just cannot like fathom it. Like I just don't understand. Yeah. And I think that drives and fuels like a lot of like what I want to do and who I want to be as a person. And like bringing it back to the basics of like, no, like every day, like I get to go to bed in a nice warm bed. I can go to the shops and buy whatever I'm craving. Like,
I get to choose what I do for work.
Yeah, like we have the opportunity to do and be anything we desire. And like, so many people aren't given that opportunity. And I just think if we can just all bring it back to like the basics and stop chasing all these different things, that like we'd all be so much more happier and like just live a life that's more true to who we are. And like,
it's almost like if you have the basic necessities and things you like to do, you're kind of set. Like you kind of have everything you need. It's a good reflection to have, and like it does leave you feeling a bit empty because you're like, well, I can feel good about my life because, I can feel better about my life because I know someone else is going through it really tough, but like, what's helping them? What are we doing to address that? It does broaden your perspective, but then you can feel that kind of guilt of like, oh, well, why am I worrying about this? It's like one worry is replaced by another worry, and you're just kind of hopping from stone to stone. It's a tough one. Yeah,
and I think I really don't like when people say like that they have it worse than I do, and like that's not, I think, where I come from with like what I'm about. I think it's more just like, it's hard, it is, but like I just don't have that viewpoint because it's like you go through like what you've been through and you have your own experiences and you can't go comparing that to somebody else on their own journey. I think comparison is a thief of joy. And like I'll never be like, oh my God, like, I wish I was them, or I want to be like them, or like, or the other way around, like they have it worse off than me, like I should just get over it. Like, no, like your feelings and your circumstances are yours, and like that's completely different. Like I like to like even tie it back into the whole like, like your family, like your siblings, like, you all have these same experiences, but you grow up and be very, very different people. Like I feel like we all have different reactions and whatnot to situations, and like the emotions that we feel, like one person may walk away sad, the other person may walk away angry. Like I think at the end of the day, just acknowledging that like you are your own individual, and that like it doesn't matter how somebody else would have reacted or what they think. At the end of the day, it's just like how it's impacted you and how you feel about it. So I don't,
That's a good perspective. I like that. It's good. I think there's a lot of obviously like instability through your journey. Particularly moving a lot as well. You 20 different places.
I've moved like 20 something times in my 23 years of life. Like
that's got to be doing something to your sense of like safety. Imagine through those years your nervous system never could really regulate and be safe because you're having to learn a new environment constantly. And I guess like my question is, so like your process, your healing, and I love how you're really into your healing, because healing can be really an inward thing as much as it can be seeking a psychologist's help. But do you feel like your healing has mostly been inward driven? And was there, I guess, psychologists or therapists help along the way that helped you give the structures that like to help you move forward? Like, do you feel like you've been able to genuinely heal from a lot of things in the past on your own, or do you feel like you had mentors or?
I feel like most of it would be inward. I feel like definitely there's been like psychologist stuff that have sparked certain different things. But I don't know. I guess like, I don't know, like when I was obviously like a teenager going to Headspace and stuff, like I just felt like I was going and chatting to someone, and like if I didn't have anything the next week, I'd be like, I don't really know where I'm coming. Like, do you know what I mean? Like I don't really feel like I took a whole lot out of the experience. And then I did go and see a psychologist more when I was like 21, 22.
Oh, okay. So fairly or something.
I did. Just with like the nature of my job at the time, and like I I was like living on my own, and like I'd uncovered the thing from doing the course that I was doing that I needed to dive deeper in. And so like, I guess she was able to help, I guess, like link some of the things together and like support me during that period to some degree, but we didn't really align. And like, I kind of walked out of it and was like, oh my God, like I just spent so many sessions with someone who like doesn't see my point of view and like just doesn't. I think she tried to frame me a little bit like your toxic positivity, which I like am completely and utterly like aware of, and like I do know that like I have a very optimistic outlook on life and that sort of thing. But I don't know, I guess that she just kind of was like, didn't understand me as a person. Like I guess I am quite spiritual in like a lot of my healing and what I'm about, and
Of course.
that sort of thing as well, which I don't know, I just feel like we didn't connect, and I kind of regret staying with her for as many sessions as I did, because in the end I was like a little bit like mad by like what was being said. I was like, but no, like that's not, like you're not quite understanding how I'm trying to like get this across.
Yeah, of course.
But yeah, I feel like I feel like a lot of it's just been through like my own research and my own like just reading and absorbing and implementing, I guess, my own things, and just knowing like I've always had that inner drive to like, you know, like I want to be able to like, I don't want to be triggered. I think like that's my biggest thing in like this whole journey is like, you know, I'm doing the work because I don't want to, like I don't want to see someone that's like impacted me in like the past and like have all those feelings again, or like get overwhelmed by it and get upset. And like I want to work through that and like overcome that so that then I can like move on, or like have those, I guess, like limiting beliefs of like how I've been triggered in the past, or like how I've been treated in the past, and like I guess I just had that inner drive to like change.
To heal yourself. Which is, I think it's good to know that you can genuinely heal yourself, especially if you can't afford therapy, which is a very real thing. Like I know someone who recently started seeing someone, it was around 300 an hour, 340 an hour for a session. It's insane. Like no wonder our, you know, collective mental health is declining, because it's just so hard to really afford that. I think I wanted to chat about a bit of the DV, you know, from your past, and what the process has been to heal from that, as comfortable as you are going into it.
I feel like first it was like, honestly, like the biggest thing is probably like having that safe environment, which is huge. Like I'm so happy now where I live, and just like the environment that I live in now, that like has put so much of it into perspective, and just like the fear that I once had of like being at home and like how someone's going to react is like, it's just like, it is hard, and I definitely feel like it's impacted my willingness then to like form relationships and all that sort of thing. So I guess it's still something that I know that like there's work to be done there. And like, you know, there are situations where like, obviously like there was physical abuse where like I was held down and like against my will and stuff. But like we all know, like domestic violence like is so much broader than that. Like there wasn't only that aspect of it, but there's like the emotional and the mental, and like I also experienced like financial abuse and stuff as well, like with the blackmail and all that sort of thing. So I don't know, it is very hard. It's probably been like my biggest thing that I've like had to work on, and like that wound is probably like my deepest, just because it's like, it's just like, I like to think of it as like, you know, like Maslow's hierarchy of needs, and like when your safety and security is like not being met, then like you can't self-actualize and all that sort of thing now. And like on my own journey, like, you know, like I just am so grateful for where I live now and the space that I have and whatnot. And I feel like I'm able to implement a lot more things now and like do a lot more of the healing now because I'm so far removed from it. But I guess, yeah, it's something that's like, I think like the further away I've gotten from it, the more okay I have been, the more I've been able to just like process it a little more. And like, I think one of the biggest things has definitely been like my relationships with males, and like I now have like beautiful males in my life that are just like friends and whatnot as well. And like that's probably been like just over the last couple of years, and like I'm so grateful to have those friendships because they've shown me so much more. Like they've shown me that there's like genuine and kind men out there that like don't want to hurt me, because like all the men that I've had in my life have hurt me in some way. So yeah, like it's very hard, and like the system just breaks my heart because like things are so broken. And like I've seen it obviously through my own experiences, I've seen it through my work experiences, and like, I mean, you hear it on the news, like you hear, like there's so much to it, and it's like, it's just like, when does it stop? And like, even like, obviously I don't live with that person anymore, but like, it's still a thing. And like, there's still blackmail, and there's still things that are like, maybe not directly at me, but like throughout my family, it's still an impact, even though we're not in that environment. So it's very hard. I feel like we have a long way to go. And like the system just kind of goes, oh, like we'll just give you some money, and then like
that was the recent thing. He and, well, at least Albanese, they announced like you will get, like there will be some payment for DV victims, which that has its place. It does help obviously with relocation and getting away from that environment. But man, it's so much of I think it's very much a cultural thing that anyone feels that they have the right to, or feel like they can violate someone else's needs for their own personal gain. And even sometimes not even personal gain, sometimes they are projecting their own insecurities, their own trauma onto someone else. And I guess projecting, which I've only really unpacked recently, is more like they're frustrated at themselves for these things, and then they see it in someone else and they go, I actually didn't even realize that. I've been using that term projecting, but I was like, I didn't realize what it actually meant. That was part of like, I think like the course that I was doing, and like that's definitely something that like, I guess my mum's instilled to me is like, people are just projecting. Like, and that has helped immensely in my journey. And like, for example, like then reframing it. So like if I'm like unpicking someone's behaviors towards me, being like, hang on a second, like that's not a reflection of who I am. That is a reflection of who they are, and they are projecting. And like, if whether it be anger or, you know, like anything, it is tied back to their own upbringing, their own insecurities. Like, say, like, for example, like blackmail with money, you know, that has got to be someone's own insecurities with money, or like them withholding or them using it in a way to like gain power. I feel like that's definitely, that's the reframing of that has helped me so much. And like, I guess like one of my biggest things is like around like, you know, their reflection of like loving you or loving me, like isn't a reflection of who I am or how I deserve to be loved, but it's a reflection of them. And like, we all have very different meanings of love, but it doesn't mean that like I have to accept that, or like that, or that then dictates how I'm going to be loved forever. Like it's just a very like, no, but that's his way of showing, or their way of showing love. And
but that's okay. Like I don't need to take that on, or like I don't have to, I guess like that, having that separation has like changed like my outlook on things so much, and has definitely helped me in my journey.
It's a bit of a separate realities distinction. That's one of my favorite like principles I've learned, at least as a coach, just to step back and realize they are literally not seeing what I'm seeing right now. They're seeing something different. I might see it as something pleasurable. They might see it as a threat. Or there's so much you can unpack with that. But yeah, detaching yourself, I love that. Like you're detaching yourself from something that doesn't really serve you anymore. And particularly if you do have a history of, abuse against you, you will internalize it. You will you will feel like a lot of things were your fault, and then there is a lot of shame and guilt to dig through that. But then at your core, you are really someone who just wants love just like any other human being. And wants to share love in a safe environment. So, I mean, thank you for speaking openly on that. That's really cool. It's great that, I guess what I got from that is like you found some stability with where you're living, with your lifestyle. So that means that the past instability isn't, holding you back anymore. So that's amazing. I love that you found men who have affirmed to you, or that you can trust them. That's incredible, because as you mentioned, it's at an insanely high rate nowadays. It feels like it's going higher, and it feels like not enough is being done to understand it. I want to kind of briefly ask, like, what is your perspective on how we can address the issue? Like, in my opinion, it's a very much a cultural thing. I think it needs to be put in education, how we manage our relationships. Particularly men feel like they need to perform to these masculine, standards that have been set out for them. Maybe it's been modeled from people before them. Maybe they've found people online to gravitate towards. And so they feel like they have to perform to those things, be the breadwinner, control the household, and yada, yada. And then that can lead to financial abuse. And then obviously not talking about their feelings, not being open with those things. What is the main characteristics or traits of these men that you have found trust with? Sorry, it's a couple of questions there. I guess one, what are these things you've found with men that you started to actually trust them now, which is great. And then I guess, what is your perspective on a solution or solutions to, gender-based violence and DV, particularly for kids?
I feel like, I don't know. I feel like, it's a very hard one to answer, but just even like, I'm a big energy person, and like, I know that like when I meet, like, I'd say I'm good at making friends. Like, I just, like I can have a conversation with someone and then I'm like, oh my God, like this type of person, like we get along really well. Like we align on so many different things, like great. And I just feel like, I don't know, there's just certain people, and like both male, female, that like have come into my life, like just over the last couple of years, that I just like, it's just so different with them, and like I can be my authentic self, and like I don't doubt what I'm saying, or I just like, I know that they can hold the space for like my beliefs and stuff as well. Like, I don't know, I feel like there's only like a small handful of people where it's like, I like kind of know know the room, and like,
it's like awareness. I guess.
Like there's just this instant like, oh my God, like no, like I'll like, I don't know, I kind of tie it back into like say if I talk about the universe or something, you know what I mean? Like some people are just like, oh, like the universe, like okay, like whatever. Whereas like other people just will like get it, and I'm like, oh great, like, do you know what I mean? Like I can just like be open and I can be myself, whereas like some people like might give you a weird look, and I'm just like, okay, like that's okay, like we don't have to, like I won't go any further. Like I just can pick up on those cues very easily.
Of course.
And I guess, I don't know, like just from there, and just like I feel like a lot of these friendships have just been formed like through my gym and stuff as well, and like those kind of environments. Like I'm not someone that goes out, like I don't drink really at all. And so like, you know, like just like, I don't know, just like having chats with people. Like I am a talker, like I love a chat, and like I'll sit in the gym for ages chatting, like that's what I'll do. But just like, you know, you slowly build that with someone, and like when you're seeing people all the time, like, you know, just even just passing and saying hi, like, you know, you're in the gym space and like there's so many people in there, but like, you know, if you can give that someone the time of day just to say hi, like I guess that kind of gradually builds, and then like you'll get having a conversation, and the next time like you'll feel more comfortable in this conversation, and just like, yeah, I don't know, like I don't really know like characteristics specifically, like I feel like it just comes down to like like how comfortable I feel with them, or like how comfortable I feel to be myself. I feel like that kind of then just ties in, and
it's like you have an equal, sorry to interrupt, but you have like an equal amount of power nowadays for you to establish a relationship with someone, with a man, and then, you know, compared to when you were younger, where there is that power dynamic, where it's hard for you to authentically be yourself and develop a relationship because there's those differences. But yeah, sorry, go on.
But yeah, no, the second part of the question, I don't really have an answer for the first.
No, that's fine. No, it's you said it. It's you're slowly trusting that you can be your authentic self for some people. You pick up on the cues and you throw it out there, see if it sticks. Like, you answered it.
And I feel like I don't know, like just seeing people like having friends and stuff that are in beautiful relationships, like I think that's amazing to see as well, and I love that. Like I've never been in an environment, like I've never had that replicated in a household. Like my parents separated when I was 6. Do you know what I mean? So I've never actually seen a healthy relationship. So like obviously like I have my ideas and stuff like that, but I haven't seen that, like I haven't sat around a dinner table, like, you know, with mum and dad there and like had that beautiful interaction. I guess, or seen an interaction between them. So I guess it's just kind of like seeing like it through friends and stuff like that, and like how they chat, and like picking up on just different things about like the life that I want to live, and like the life that they're living, and the things that they're doing. And I guess it's just like, I'm just the observer.
It's good.
But then, sorry, the second part of the question.
I guess like what's your perspective? Because you're obviously not, you know that it's not just something you throw money at, like DV and gender-based violence, like your perspective on how we can address this issue.
I feel like a lot of it has to do with like emotions. And like, have you seen Inside Out 2, the movie?
I watched it yesterday.
Oh my God.
That broke me down.
I reckon it's like hands down one of the best movies I've ever seen. Like I love that movie so much. Like I sat there with tears in my eyes. Like people were clapping at the end, and I was just like, every single human needs to see this movie. Like I'm just so passionate about it.
No doubt.
Anyways, whoever made it is absolutely incredible. I love the second one. But I feel like that's the awareness that we need, and just like bringing that and like changing this, you know, the perception around like how like the roles and like all that sort of thing, which I feel like we are making movement, but like clearly not quick enough. And like I just feel like giving people the tools and like the understanding of just like emotions in general, like none of that we're taught at school. Like I feel like the system's a little bit backwards in just like, you know, like all these things would be, if they were implemented at a young age, and just being like, you know, like these thoughts, like how your thoughts work, and like having a broader understanding of that, and like how then they form your behaviors, and you know, like it's so hard. Like I wish I had an answer for it, but like I feel like just teaching kids from such a young age that like, you know, they don't like being physical isn't the way to go about it, or like there are ways that they can release anger, or like having different things in place so that when it does build up, or like just doing the thing to implement things sooner so that like it doesn't get to that point where like someone's boiled up with all this anger and feel like they have to react that way.
Yeah, 100%.
Which, yeah.
It's like emotional intelligence.
Yeah.
Basically, not just of being aware of the emotions, because I see it when I teach kids, they're aware of the emotions and they can explain it, but like actually understanding, like where does this emotion come from?
Yeah.
Do I receive it from someone else? Can I cultivate it myself? And anger is a huge one. A lot of people can't manage their anger, and I have issues sometimes. Like, you know, I notice patterns in people around me, and I've inherited those patterns. And I guess it's breaking the cycle of that. I think anger is a huge one. Understanding that, like you said, you can release anger in a healthy way, and you can break it down a bit, like inwards. You can say, okay, where is this actually coming from? No, not from there. Where is it actually coming from? Like you can look at all these different attacks. I mean, it's one every 9 days, I think it is, that a female is assaulted or killed by a partner, by their male partner. Might be wrong on that, but it's around that. And you gotta think, if they were able to actually healthily release their anger, you know, what would be the outcome in that situation? But inside out too, oh my goodness. When oh, it's a spoiler, but it's not too much of a spoiler. You can kind of see it evolving in that movie. When anxiety is like, I'm sorry, I was just trying to like protect Riley, and I was like, that hit. And then when Joy was like, you don't, to anxiety, you don't get to decide who Riley is.
Yeah. I know. I've like saved so many things. Like I follow a few psychologists and stuff on Instagram. So like I have all these things saved now, which is like the quotes from the movie. Like I'm like, I need to go back in and sit there and take notes. Like the first time I just took my brother. So it just like, I wasn't, but like to then finish that movie, like I've literally gone and said to like some of my friends, I'm like, we're going, like we have to go and see it. Like I paid to see that movie a million times. Like it's honestly insane.
It's
and
so
I just hope that like, I feel like they've done such a good way to like portray it all, but it's like, I just hope that kids are taking something away from that. And like obviously like me watching kids movies now, like I'm seeing it from a different perspective completely and utterly, but I think just like having movies like that to just like explain things in like an incredible way is like amazing and gonna touch like so many people on such a broad level.
100%.
But yeah, no, I absolutely love that movie.
Wait, your older brother you went? Or
No. So he's 11.
Oh, okay. Oh, that's cool. That's cool.
So we went together.
Oh, that's really cool. Like that's. I went with I do holiday like vacation care with kids, and I'm like sitting there like I wasn't fighting back the tears, but I was just like letting myself just like feel it, like, and then like they're looking, are you okay? Are you okay? It's just please like listen to this.
Literally. No, it's such a good movie.
Yeah, it's amazing. I think particularly, and as you've learned to, you know, trust people more openly, there is that, there's a lot that can be said about anxiety, and that's basically a lack of trust. But I guess that big word, anxiety, what has been your experience with it? Is it something where you, I guess socially, you feel, to me you look pretty confident socially, but has that been something you've started to unpack as well, like understanding that word, particularly with your bachelor degree as well in psychological science? What's some learnings you've taken away of some beliefs?
I don't know. I think that it can definitely work in our favor, and like it can work for and against us. Like I definitely like completely totally understand that. Like I'd say I had some anxiety before coming here today. You know, like that was But I was like, no, this is great. Like, I love this. I'm really excited for this experience. But like, obviously I'm a little bit nervous.
Yeah.
But I think it's such a hard one. And I think that like, it's definitely been more prevalent throughout different parts of my journey. And like, I used to get like more anxiety attacks where like, I was like, oh my God, how can I like control this? Or I just do silly things. Like, I'll just drop something, or like I'll be running a million miles an hour and I'm like, oh my God, like just slow down, like just take a step back. Just like, I've noticed like particular times in my life where I've just been like running off that like fight or flight. But I think it's just like having those skills and whatnot in place to be like, okay, like when I feel this way, what can I do to like calm myself or bring myself back down? And like, how is it coming up, or like where is it coming from? Because I feel like it's good, like, you know, like if you have anxiety towards a situation or like towards a particular person or that sort of thing, like it's like, okay, this is a great opportunity to like unpack this a bit more and like see where this is coming from. Or like what it's triggering, or, you know, like if you don't feel safe in the environment, like all those things, like it's working for you in some way. And yeah, I feel like just like for me, something that works great is like if I'm feeling like stressed out and stuff, like just going for a walk or like just doing some deep breaths, or just like pulling out my book, my journal, and like unpacking that a little bit more. I feel like it's all like it just plays a role in like your healing journey and the process as well. But yeah, I think it's very like circumstantial and like individual, and it's very like just finding the things that work for you and like understanding a bit more yourself to like, I guess how you're going to react, or like being able to acknowledge when it is just anxiety and like it's not something that's going to stick around forever.
Understanding it is just a feeling, or it is just an emotion. That's really cool.
I feel like that's but no, it's definitely something that I still experience. And like, don't get me wrong, like at times, like I've been out in public and I've just like broken down and like lost it and stuff because like I felt so anxious. But I've definitely learned throughout my journey as well to just like I don't get embarrassed by it. Like I just go, you know what, like it's okay. Like I felt overwhelmed, or I felt like I had these strong emotions, and like, you know, there's nothing really that like I can do about it. Like I remember a time where I was like full of anxiety, and like I ran into someone that I knew and they're like, how are you? Just bursted into tears and cried, this poor person. And like, but I just was so overwhelmed and like I just had so much going on, and I was just like, oh my God. But like, you know, like I'm only human, like there's, you know, like you just, no one looks at someone in tears and is like, you know, oh my God, like, do you know what I mean? Like I feel like we put that pressure on ourselves as well. So I just feel like I have more grace for myself now, and I just like I try, like I don't really get embarrassed. I just kind of go, you know what, like it is what it is. Like this and this was happening, like, you know, it's okay.
Who I interviewed on Monday, Jordan, he kind of broke it down and just said, the number one step, you just got to accept it. Like it's there, it's going to be there. If you don't accept it, then you kind of let it become a problem. You let it determine you. And it was a bit deeper, but you know, listen to that when it comes out. It's a tricky one, because some people learn from analogies, some people intellectualize it, some people like to be very practical and sit and do some breathing and look inward. And then some people, I guess, just let it build up. We all let it build up, actually. I feel like exercise can be like the absolute must do to release that stress. But actually, it's like segue. That journey of your exercise, and you've done 75 hard as well. And I remember part of your content is like, it was like a quote, like, why do you work out so much, or why do you, it was something like that. and you had a list of different things. Now, my relationship with movement has always been about AFL because that was like my dream, right?
Yeah.
But I've slowly had to like reconstruct that and like, no, like I move because I like to move and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Which is really interesting. So your relationship with movement is maybe as important as the actual movement itself.
Yeah.
But yeah, I guess speak to your journey through 75 hard and I guess you're just your fitness in general, because you're someone who's very, very active.
Yeah.
And it is a core part of your being.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like it hadn't always been that way, and like
Okay.
I feel like that's been a whole journey in itself. Like
Yeah.
I've done some pretty silly things, but that was like I have lost a lot of weight. Like throughout my childhood, my way of like suppressing all my emotions was through food.
Okay.
So I was overweight as like a child, a teenager, and like I was made fun of by the way that I looked. And then again, like that all tied back into like 5-year-old India who like hated the way that she looked when she had short hair. Like, do you know what I mean? So that was a whole learning experience in itself. But I think in the beginning it was very like, I don't like the way I look, like I really change this. Like I knew that like I was an emotional eater, like that's how I suppressed. I didn't know how to voice how I felt, so I would literally just eat. And then I think it was like, I think in like years 11, 12 or something, then it kind of like changed. And like, look, I did have to have a knee operation and all that. So I guess like that stopped my ability to train. Like I was doing swimming and gymnastics and netball and all that sort of things. And like when I was a child, and then like, I just got so scared because of the issues I was having with my knee that like that kind of all stopped. But then it wasn't really until like I left school that then like I found a gym that I loved, and I was going and doing those group fitness classes and whatnot. And like in the beginning, it was very much like a no, like I'll be happy when I miss weight. It definitely started that way.
Okay.
And I remember, but like amazingly, like I've never owned scales. Like my mum never had scales in our bathroom, which I think it's so bizarre that like scales even exist for people to have in their house. And the only reason I knew that like I'd lost 10 kilos was because like I have routine checkups that I have to do for life with having had leukemia. And it wasn't until like I'd gone back in 2 years later and on my chart it had said that I was 10 kilos lighter. And like I'd always had this number in my head, like, oh, like when I'm this weight, like I'll be happy. And like I just got to that weight, and then I was like, oh, well, like, no, like, you know what I mean? Like, but I think throughout that, it became so much more than that. And like, even now, like, yes, okay, like there'll be some times when like I'm working towards like, I feel like my goals more now are like gym based more so than like body. And like, I did that back then. So like now it's not like, oh my God, you have to be this weight. Like now I don't care how much I weigh. Like it's got nothing to do with that kind of thing.
Yeah, there's a different success criteria.
Yeah. And it was just kind of like, oh, and yeah, I don't know. And like, cause obviously with that whole journey then comes your relationship with food. And like, that's a very challenging one. And like, that's a whole other thing as well.
Yeah.
And just like, going through that and like the pressures put on you and like being a teenage girl and like all that sort of thing, like there was some things that I did that I was just like, oh my God, like, you know, my relationship with food had been very bad at different times. But yeah, I feel like I just like throughout that journey, like obviously I fell in love with like just how I felt and like being able to push myself, and like I love that exercise is so diverse and you can literally do so many different things. And that's what I've dived into more so like recently. Like I can run, I can go and do a weights class, I can do a cardio class, I can go and do Pilates, like I can go for a run and talk with my friends the whole time. Like now to me, there's so many more different things, and like I genuinely just love being active and like, but yeah, like in the beginning, it wasn't that way. It's just definitely like come over time. But like I'm happy with it now. And like 75 hard, that was like, it showed me that the human body is incredible. Like I genuinely was just like so shocked at like what we as humans are capable of. Like it was insane. And like, but I was silly. Like I was doing like 2 workouts at the gym a day. Like I kind of like used 75 hard and then like made it my own thing. And it was like, but hang on a second, I already gym and walk every day. Like do 2 gym sessions. Like,
it's a lot.
So I was doing a lot more gymming than I was walking. But like through that, I was like, you know what, like like obviously the human body is insane. Like what I was putting myself through, how I felt, I was like, this is wild. But reflecting on it now, I'm more so like, I think it was just my way of like, from my past being so comfortable in like being uncomfortable with as I said, like I've moved so many times in my life. Like with my housemate now, I've nearly been there for 2 years and like that's the most stable I've been in like forever.
Yeah.
Like before that, I moved 8 times in 5 years. And so like, I feel like a part of me was kind of like, oh, like what's going on? I need to change something. And like with 75 hard, like I thought about it for like 3 days and then I started. Like that was it. Like there was no real like, oh, like this is 75 days. Like this is like, and like for what reason? Like I'm like, why? Like it was so much fun and I thrive off that clearly. But like I've also had to survive like that. Do you know what I mean? Like my body in that state of like stress and whatnot. So now looking back, I'm like, oh, was this just like another way for Indy to be like, oh, like, you know, like you're the most stable and comfortable you've been in your whole life. Like something's got to change. Which like, because I'm always doing a million things. Like I'm someone that's like even right now, like I'm doing so many different things that I just like, but I love it. But like, did I go and throw 75 hard on top of something? Just stop, maybe. And then see, like, it bit me in the ass, but like, because then I had to get an iron infusion and then I got a virus and then I had really bad fatigue and then I got influenza. So I've just done 75 of recover.
Yeah, right. Good 75 softer,
So everything just gone the other way. So like, I don't know, like it was good because like, I don't know, like the human body's insane and like, I just, like, I did have fun doing it, but like, was it necessary? Probably not.
No. It's amazing you can prove things to yourself, like I can do this insanely hard and long, like arduous thing. Like that is a pretty cool thing to prove to yourself because that's life. Like you get to apply that to real life scenarios, have some patience, particularly in those long stretches. Like it's not like it's, you know, a week or something like that. It's like 3.5 months. You know, it's a genuinely like, oh no, 2.5 months. Like when I did it, it was very similar to you. Like I kind of put too much on my plate and yada yada. But the main thing, and like metaphorically, you prove to yourself how worthy you are, but more just like how capable you are. Which is an incredible thing to prove to yourself. And I think everyone needs to have that battle or that resistance. You need to meet some sort of resistance because you're always going to meet resistance in life, in your work, in your family, and everything. I want to also ask about your workshop and I just particularly because you remember you contacted me and you were interested, like, how have you move part of the piece into something that's a bit more like professional and stuff like that. And you've got a Bachelor of Psychological Science and that you've now been doing workshops. You've done one workshop so far? Speak about that because that's a really cool thing. I think it's inspired me to start working on my own one, and it's an amazing thing that you can bring people together to learn something because we're not always learning things. What's your take? How was it actually?
I took a lot away from my first one. I think especially like being comfortable in like talking about my experience and stuff in front of people as well. And like, because obviously like I gave a very brief like overview and then like kind of dived into the topics. I've kind of taken that one from that one time that I've done and I've just been working on it for the last couple of months to just like, I just wanted all, like, I've kind of broken it up. Like I'd say in the first one, I kind of covered so many things, but now I want to like take a deeper dive into certain topics. And like with my degree, I'm very like, I want it all backed by science, because I feel like that's a whole other reach of people, because, you know, there's now science to support like gratitude, like that's such a big field now, and there's so much science to prove like the benefits that it can have on your life. I want to bring that across. And like, obviously like self-talk is huge. And like I kind of preach that like when I changed the way that I spoke to myself, I changed my whole life. And like there's so much science to support just like self-talk and all that sort of thing now as well. So I have been working on it, like kind of like it's so close to being like where I'm really, really happy with it. But my goal with that is just kind of like, bringing people together. I've always like, I love my friendship so much, because I can just like be me, be open, be honest. And like, I'm not having surface level conversations. Like I'm just not the type of person that like wants to go out and sit around with a couple of drinks and like chat about the week. Like that's just not me. And like, I want to have those deep and meaningful conversations and like, you know, talk about, I don't know, just like our own journeys and our growth and like what we want to achieve in life and what we like want to take away. And I just feel like my hope for it is just to have a space where like people come along and can take something away from it, can meet like-minded people, know that there is that kind of community. Because I feel like that's something that we just don't have. And like, obviously everything that I'm talking about are things that like I'm very passionate about and that like have quite literally changed my life. And like, I think that's what I just want to put out there. Like I'm so passionate about like the topics, because like they have changed my life. And like, I just kind of want to, like, my hope is to like put it out in the world and just go from there. And just have, I just want people to feel comfortable like going inwards themselves and like starting their own journey. And like, I think the biggest thing is with all of it is like coming back to authentic to who you are. And I think that's the biggest thing. And like just unpacking everything else, like regardless of like, you know, your family, your friends, your community, your school, like how they perceive or how they want you to be. And just being like, like hang on a second, like this is who I am, and like this is like how I want to show up in the world. And just sharing my journey through all that.
That's amazing. Love that. Well, you've inspired me to start working on it, making my own ones, and it's an incredible service to have out there, that you can catch someone when they really need it, and if you can go and educate and empower, like it, you start people on that journey, which how amazing is that? Like, that's incredible. I want to kind of pick your brain a bit about, I guess we'll wrap it up, because I mean, I've loved everything that we've been chatting about. We've gone this way, that way.
I told you, I warned you.
Exactly. No, disclaimer was there. It's been amazing. I just want to kind of get it could be a couple, it could be one thing, I guess, your advice, maybe to that younger self, the younger you, but particularly to a lot of the youth who, we're going through a lot at the moment. And anyone listening that you feel like you can kind of gauge some advice towards, some building blocks.
I think it would have to do with just like finding out who you are. And like, that's the biggest thing. And that's the biggest thing throughout my whole journey is like, just like giving myself the space and time to find out who I am as a person, what I love to do, implementing those things every day. Like, like I love watching the sunrise. So like anytime there's a sunrise, I'm down there. If I miss a day, I'm like, oh my God, like, do you know what I mean? Like, but like, 100%. I love that. And like, exercise I love. And like, that's something I implement all the time. And like the journaling, the gratitude, all that sort of thing. Like I feel like my biggest thing is like, just be authentic to you, because I feel like that's how then you find like the joy and the love for life, because you don't have to pretend that you don't have to pretend, like you don't have to, and I hear it so hard, and like I know that like, you know, you've got family and you've got parents and what they think you should do and whatnot, and I'm very mindful that like I grew up and like I even like making a decision, like mum would be like, India, like you have to make a decision and be happy with it. Like if I went to mum about anything, she'd be like, no, but like you, like sometimes I'd beg her, I'm like, can you please just help me?
Make it for me.
Please. But like through all that, it's just been a massive journey of like, you know, like, yeah, just like try everything. Like I think there's this whole thing around like, you need to leave school and you need to do like, what are you going to go and study? But like, I've jumped around so many jobs the last few years. Like, yes, I went and studied my Bachelor of Psych, and like, I know I have this love and passion for mental health, but like, I had no idea what path I wanted to go down. I knew I wanted to work with people, but like, I also know I don't want to go to work and get triggered. Or like, through certain jobs I've had in the past, I've gone to work, gotten triggered, and then been like, okay, like I need to go and do my own journey. Like I need to go and do my own healing, And like, I've just wanted experience from different things. So I've gone and like done that, even if it's for 6 months. Like people are like, India, like, what are you doing? Like, just stop. Like, but like, no, like, I feel like exactly. And like you think about it at school, like you're learning so many different subjects to like gain a broader perspective, but then like you go out in the workforce and like you're supposed to know, like, how do you know? You haven't tried anything. You're 18.
You've tried the curriculum.
And I feel like that's probably like the biggest piece of advice I would be like to try different things, and like even like friends, like just knowing that like you will find your people one day, like that's a whole other thing. Just like my journey with friends and people, and like I have one friend I went to school with and that's it. And like knowing that like you're going to meet different people through different parts of your journey, and like that doesn't necessarily mean that they're going to come with you the whole way, but like, you know, just knowing that, you know, people come into your life for a reason, a season, or a lifetime, and just knowing that like, if you don't feel like your friends are aligning with you, or you just like, you know, you want to meet new people and whatnot, like having that space to just step back. Like, I guess that there's that whole thing around like fear of missing out, and like that was a whole thing that I had to work through. And like it started with like me going out with this group who like I knew like it didn't necessarily align with me, but then like, you know, like I wasn't someone that drank, so slowly I'd like stopped drinking, and then like from that then I'd like just stop going, and then like I'd see stories on Instagram and stuff, and I'd be like, oh my god, they're all that without me. But I'm like, hang on a second, like every time you're there you don't like it, so just, and then like I'd literally be like 20 years old in my apartment on like just like doing the washing on a Saturday night, and I'd be like, but I'm so fine with this, because like I know one day that like I'm gonna find my people, and like it's not going to be like this forever, but I don't want to go out and pretend to be someone that I'm not, or like be in an environment where like I'm not enjoying myself. Like for what? Like I think there's been a lot of times through my journey where I have like been on my own, and like I say that in quotation marks because like I'm not necessarily like felt lonely. It's just been more like, okay, but you need to understand who you are without all this outside noise and distractions and whatnot, and just like take the time to understand you at your core, and like who you want to be, what you want to do with your life, and like why you want to do it. So yeah, that's a very long answer.
That's okay.
But I feel like, yeah, my big thing is just like getting people to be authentic to who they are, and like, yeah,
that's it. That's a
great
way to put it up. It's kind of like Inside Out is kind of like the lesson for it. Like, understand yourself inside out. Understand that you live an inside out world. That's amazing. Be your authentic self. That's great. Well, mate, I hope you got something from this. I think we have spoken about a lot of really cool things, and thank you for coming on.
No worries at all. Thank you for having me.
Of course. We can plug your Instagram if you'd like to. Like, you do a lot of content on there.
India Jade with, oh, that's very confusing. It's INDIAAJADEE_.
Easy. Remember that. Yeah. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. If you really enjoyed this episode, let us know. And yeah, because I know it is good for feedback and would be interested in talking about it more. So yeah, thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. And hopefully I'll see one of you who are listening or watching in the next one. Feel free to chuck your name out there and come on, have a chat, because that's not too bad.
No, not at all.
Nah, it's scary at first. But
It is.
Yeah.
It's just like having a conversation with
Yeah.
a friend.
Exactly. You figure it out. Yeah, thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Have a good day.
Thanks for having me.